Now, while the MB GLP-1 system is great by itself, there are some things that I recommend that you can do to kick it up a notch. There are things that you can do actually prior to even jumping on the MB system. And one of them is jumping on Protandim NRF2. And this is to calm the inflammation down in the body. Most people have so much inflammation going on in their body that a lot of the hormones are not giving and receiving the proper messaging. So getting on Protandim will help calm that down and will make your experience with the MB system even that much better. Tier 2 reconnects the gut-brain axis. You can continue on the Protandim NRF2 and then jump on the MB system. Now in Tier 3, this is where we teach the body how to burn fat for energy. So you're going to be on the MB system along with Protandim as well, and then you're going to add in the fat burn. That's another supplement from LifeVantage, and also a meal plan. This is where we start to actually give the body the right information, because remember, food is information. We're going to give the body the right information to actually enhance GLP-1 production and also some of the other hormones like insulin, cortisol, and leptin. And the fourth tier is to optimize the total body experience. Again, we're going to still be on the MB system. Now we're going to add in the Protandim Tri-Synergizer. We're going to hit NRF1, NRF2, and also NAD. The Tri-Synergizer completes the entire package for getting rid of a lot of the oxidative stress, improving how our mitochondria are making ATP, and also improving how many mitochondria there are in your body. Also, we're going to still continue on with fat burn. Then we're going to add in the AM and PM, the multi, Axial to help get our brains going, the meal plan, and also adding in the workout plan. So this is the 4-tier system. Now, the basic foundation for optimization for all of this is what we call the CPRT, the Circadian Balance, Protein Intake, Resistance Training, and Tracking. Circadian balance is really easy. You get up with the sun and you go down with the sun. A lot of times people have this mixed up. They're getting too much of the wrong light exposure at the wrong time. During the day, we have a stronger light temperature, and at the nighttime, we have a lower light temperature. But with the advent of computer screens, light bulbs, we actually are telling our body that it's still daytime. The cues that our body gets from light tells the body which hormones to make when. Now, what I want you to understand is during the daytime, the body is breaking down, and during the nighttime, the body is building back up. So if you have signals that are being misconstrued by the body, it doesn't know what to do because it doesn't know what time it is. So we got to make sure that we're getting that circadian balance correct. Next one is protein intake. And the easy rule of thumb with your protein intake is to take whatever your target body weight is. Say you're at 150 pounds and your target weight is 135 pounds. You're going to take that target body weight of 135 pounds, and that's your target grams of protein intake per day. So you're going to shoot for 135 grams. Next one is resistance training. Now, I recommend somebody starting off slowly if you haven't been doing this. Now, for most people, you're not in that realm. Now, for some people, you may be of that realm. You've already been doing resistance training. Some people are actually training too much. That's what I find with a lot of people that I work with. They train too much. Now, what you want to do for resistance training, very easy rule of thumb, is a 2 or 3 day resistance training routine where you're doing some type of resistance training that's addressing the full body, whether you're going from a squat, deadlift, to a bench press, to an overhead press, to a row, something that's going to incorporate all of those movements in a single session. Now, there are different sets and rep ranges that you guys can go and look into, and what I recommend is start with something. If you haven't been doing anything, start with something that you're comfortable with. But again, resistance training is a really important thing for encouraging your body to build muscle and to burn fat for energy. And then the next one, the T, is tracking your sleep, your food, and your activity. Track your quantity and quality of sleep. There are a bunch of sleep trackers out on the market. There's also different apps. The one I like to use is called Chronometer. There's a whole bunch of other ones like MyFitnessPal. Whatever you feel comfortable with or knowledgeable with, utilize that. But you want to track your sleep, you want to track your food intake and your activity, because you're going to be able to see, am I getting enough protein into my body from my diet? And that's going to be a really big one that will show up for a lot of people that they'll see, I'm not actually hitting that target. And what that also does is if you're trying to hit your protein intake, it's gonna magically push out the other stuff, the other things that are not necessarily great for the body, like processed foods. You're gonna see that it's very difficult to actually get to your target protein intake, and that'll take the place of all the rest of the stuff that your body doesn't need. So once you start tracking your sleep, food, and activity, you're gonna start to see, okay, here's where I'm lacking in my activity, here's where I'm lacking in sleep, food, and we can make adjustments there. Rule of thumb for activity is to take a walk or do some type of activity after every meal, at least for 5-10 minutes. And then for each hour, take about 5-6 minutes to do some type of activity. The more that you can do throughout the day, what we call your exercise snacks, the better. A lot of times people have the excuse that I don't have enough time to exercise or do any type of activity, right? I don't have an hour in the morning to go on a walk. You have 5 to 10 minutes spread throughout the day. And if you do all of these things throughout the day and you start to add them up, you notice that you're gonna get somewhere between an hour to an hour and 20 minutes of activity per day. So these are the foundations for optimization. One of the big things that a lot of people are missing out on are the foods that actually enhance GLP-1 production. These are bitter foods, actually will trigger the production of GLP-1 from not just your taste buds, but also throughout your entire GI tract. And the interesting thing that we found is that in your entire GI tract, we actually have receptors for the different tastes. And when the bitter receptors are triggered, we also trigger a huge influx of GLP-1 production. So here's a list, take a look at this, add this on to your dietary recommendations. So I hope this helps. Let's go on to the next section.